Hi everyone, thank you for checking out my review on the Hot Wheels Street Hawk flying car. I put a link in the description below where you can pick one up for the best price and get free shipping. I've reviewed a lot of helicopters and quadcopters, but this is actually my first airplane. The reason being is that I've never been good at flying airplanes for more than a few times before crashing and completely destroying them. But I've mastered this one in the first flight. I've crashed it pretty hard in the grass and a couple light crashes on the street, and it's held up pretty good. Now, no airplane is going to be indestructible, but if you're learning to fly, this one's going to give you the best chance just because it's so rugged and it can take a lot of abuse. And that's why I'm so excited to finally recommend a plane that is fun, easy to fly, and doesn't break every time you crash. I'm going to go over some important tips that will really help when learning to fly the Street Hawk and why I recommend this toy. Alright, the first thing I wanted to know when I saw this is how do you control this thing in flight? Is this just a basic glider, or are you going to have a lot of control when flying it around? Well, I didn't have very high expectations for around $50, but I was really surprised on how much control you actually have. As you'll see from the video, this thing can do a lot. And it can do a lot with just these two motors. Now, the controls on the controller are very basic. You have your throttle, and it is digitally proportioned, so you go full throttle all the way down to no speed, and everywhere in between you're going to get a very nice smooth increase in power. Turning is very basic. You just have your left and your right, and what that's going to do is either slow down or speed up accordingly. So if you want to turn left, your right motor is going to go fast, your left motor is going to stop, and that's going to turn and bank your airplane. You also have trim tabs here, and for your rudder, you have your elevator and your rudder. So if you want to make some fine adjustments on those, you can. Also on the controller, you do have trim tabs here and here, and that will adjust the power of the motors to keep this thing flying nice and level. And as you notice, it has a really good sized wing. The wing has a pretty aggressive curve to it that's going to create a lot of lift. And as you can see, there's cutaways in the wing that helps protect your blades. And what's really interesting about this one is you have a curvature here which creates lift, but you actually have a curvature in the back which creates a negative lift. And why they do that is because that negative lift is going to push down and keep the airplane going up if you have full power. And then if you release the power, you'll notice the airplane does pretty much a nosedive. At about half throttle, the airplane wants to fly nice and level. Now, as of recording this video, I have crashed this thing quite a few times, and as you can see, the nose cone's still in pretty good shape. Now, I did crash in the grass. I have done some minor crashes on the asphalt, but this thing's held up really well. I didn't think that it would hold up in such good condition, but the foam is really sturdy. They do put a lot of decals on it, which really does help the foam stay together and prevent it from chipping away. Now, what's really great about this controller is that there is a 5-volt plug-in, and now it does come with the cable. So all you do is you plug this in here, and then on the other end you'd plug this into like a USB port. In my case, I have this thing which doesn't come with the kit, but it's just basically a USB port that you plug into the wall, and you want to make sure pretty much all of them will have the 5V on them. You just want to double check and make sure. Just plug that in, and then you can charge it from your wall, and that way it doesn't drain your batteries. Or you can also just plug it into your laptop. The wheels do feel cheap, but they work. The bright orange color of the wheels helps to see if you're flying level when it's far away. They are removable if you'd rather not have them on. Now, taking them off does slightly increase the performance, and I've noticed adding very small amounts of weight to the front nose does make it fly faster, but the trade-off is it does become more unstable. The faster you fly, the more unstable the airplane becomes. It will take off from short grass, the street, or pretty much any smooth surface. It does need about 15 to 20 feet to take off depending on how smooth the surface is. Now, hand launching this is easy, as you'll see from the video. This thing does tend to crash two different ways, nose first and upside down. And I'll tell you how to prevent this from happening. If this is your first time flying, then definitely fly it over grass. And if you have some packaging tape or some thick tape, put it on the nose to prevent the foam from breaking off just while learning to fly the plane, then you can eventually take it off later. And as with all airplanes, you want to make sure you take off and land into the wind. That will make taking off and landing so much easier. Taking off, you'll want to have full power until you're high enough off the ground. Then you can pull the power back to around 50% and the plane will fly nice and level. It's important to know when you're taking off to keep the wings nice and level to prevent the airplane from stalling and falling out of the sky. You can do this just by applying a little bit of left or right on your steering. When you're taking off, make sure you have enough room in front of the plane so you don't have to make any turns during takeoff. This is when most people crash and doing steep turns at low speeds. When the Street Hawk is flying level, it cruises around running speed. That's about 10 to 15 miles per hour. It's important to keep the wings level when climbing out at slow speeds because this thing will stall and fall fast out of the sky. Also, when I was learning to fly, I noticed at low speeds you really want to keep the turns very shallow. You don't want to make steep turns at slow speeds because this thing will stall and do like a death spiral out of the sky. When you're low to the ground, make sure you keep your turns nice and shallow. Now, anytime you have two motors like this one is always going to be slightly more powerful than the other. The great thing about the controller is that it does have trim tabs and lets you adjust the power of each motor to keep you flying straight. To perform rolls and flips, you'll want to get high enough and then cut the power back and then either turn left or right. This will send you into a steep roll. To recover, just let go of the steering and apply full power again. To flip, you'll need to get up pretty high, cut the power all the way back, let the plane nosedive, and then apply full power again. And that's my review on the Street Hawk flying car. It's a really fun car, both for kids and adults. I was really surprised on how much control you have when flying this thing in the air. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. And if you enjoyed my review, I'd appreciate a thumbs up and subscribe to keep up with my new reviews. Thank you so much. Power back and then either turn left or right. This will send you into a steep roll. To recover, just let go of the steering and apply full power again. To flip, you'll need to get up pretty high, cut the power all the way back, let the plane nosedive, and then apply full power again. And that's my review on the Street Hawk flying car. It's a really fun car, both for kids and adults. I was really surprised on how much control you have when flying this thing in the air. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. And if you enjoyed my review, I'd appreciate a thumbs up and subscribe to keep up with my new reviews. Thank you.